everybody, this is Dr. Karen, and today I'm going to answer the question, what is a sentence? A sentence is a group of words that contains at least one independent clause and sometimes one or more subordinate clauses. Sentences can express a statement, a question, or an exclamation. To figure out if a group of words is a complete sentence, we can ask ourselves some questions. First, we want to figure out if the sentence has any clauses in it. So we want to ask ourselves the question, is there at least one subject and one verb in this group of words? Answering this question will help us decide if there are any clauses in the group of words, because a clause has to have both a subject and a verb. Let's look at an example. Let's look at the words, I read the book. Let's first ask ourselves, is there a subject and a verb in this group of words? Yes, there is. The subject is I. The subject is who is doing the reading. The verb is read, so this is what the subject is doing. So since this group of words has a subject and a verb, it has to be a clause. So that means it could be a sentence. But just because a group of words is a clause does not mean that it's a sentence. So we have to ask ourselves another question. Is there an independent clause in this group of words? So let's look at those words again. I read the book. So this clause doesn't start with a conjunction, and it has a subject and a verb. So that means because there is not a conjunction at the beginning, we know that it is an independent clause. So I read the book is a complete sentence. There is a subject and a verb, and there is at least one independent clause in this group of words. Therefore, it is a complete sentence. Let's look at another example. Before I went to bed. The first question we want to ask ourselves about this group of words is there a subject and a verb? Yes, there is. The subject is I, and the verb is went. So this group of words has a subject and a verb, so that means it is a clause. But remember, not all clauses are complete sentences, so we have to ask ourselves, are there any independent clauses in this group of words? Well, this group of words starts with the subordinate conjunction before, and there's just one subject and one verb. So there's only one clause here, but it's a subordinate or dependent clause because it starts with a subordinate conjunction. Because there aren't any other independent clauses attached to this group of words, it's not a complete sentence because it can't stand alone. Now let's see what happens when we put those two clauses together. So our first clause was I read the book. That was a complete sentence. Our second clause was before I went to bed. That one was not a complete sentence. So let's look at what happens when we put these two together. Here's one way we could do that. We could say, I read the book before I went to bed. So we have to first decide if the first part of the sentence has a subject and a verb. So I read the book has the subject I and the verb read. And then the next part of the sentence, we have another subject and a verb. We have the subject I and the verb went. So since there's at least one subject and verb in this group of words, we know that we have at least one clause. We actually have two clauses here. But let's see what kind of clauses they are, because remember, we have to have at least one independent clause in order to have a complete sentence. So we do have an independent clause. I read the book does not start with a conjunction, so that is an independent clause. We also have a subordinate or dependent clause here, before I went to bed. And remember, that is a subordinate or dependent clause because it starts with the word before, which is a subordinate conjunction. Now, those words on their own are not a complete sentence, but now they're attached to I read the book, which is an independent clause. So now this group of words is a complete sentence. Thank you so much for following along. Let's review one more time what a sentence is. A sentence is a group of words that contains at least one independent clause and sometimes one or more subordinate clauses. To watch more videos just like this one, subscribe to my channel or visit me at drkarenspeech.com using the link in the description below the video. Thanks so much for watching.